Hey guys, we're back with the Archon quest. We have to go see Daddy Nouvelette. So we're gonna go see Daddy. Hopefully this won't be much longer. If this isn't the last bit of it, because I did part one, but I don't know. Hello.
You're here! Finally!
Is something wrong?
Monsieur Neurvalette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute.
Ah.
Please go see for yourself.
And Paimon's like,
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not?
well...
Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
Poisson.
You mean they're all...
Yes, they're dead.
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again.
Damn. You know, maybe, I mean, never mind. Because some of you don't know where this is going, so not gonna spoil anything.
I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson.
Poisson.
Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again.
Jeez.
Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon?
Wow, Nouvelette is really drilling her.
My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
You know, the Hydro Archon.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries.
I mean, and he's right to think that, because it seems like all the other Archons, or at least the Archons that have had Archons before them, knew what they were like, and, you know, stuff like that. But here we have Farina's like, oh, I don't know anything about the former Archon. I mean, you know, you had Nahida, who was imprisoned, but she knew about Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, and you had, and of course, A knew about the previous Archon. It was like her sister. So, but here we have Farina like, I don't know anything. Why are you asking me these questions? I told you I don't know anything. And I guess Nouvelette feels like, oh, well, if I just keep asking her, she might remember something. But
You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
I love that he points out how superficial she is, as at least when she's portraying this Archon. You know, we see her with moments where, you know, she very like boasty and confident, but then it cuts to like her true self, and she's very, shy and confused and.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
Well, now that you know my secret, it's time to die.
You.
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me, you're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again.
I have to say, she's coming across at first, and she was like very like, like, oh, why are you asking me things? But then she has like this huge boast of confidence. That act, gets ramped up, and she kind of starts acting like the Hydro Archon. We're like, hey, you're the subordinate here. You're the Eudex. I'm the Archon. I'm the god. You're listening to me. I'm the god here. You don't sit here and question me. I told you I have a plan, and we'll leave it at that. So you can either have faith in your Archon, or you can piss off.
Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Also, Amberly Connors is the one who does the voice for Farina, and she just gives Farina so much life, and Ray Chase is Nouvellette, and just hearing these voices just together, and there's your girl, stop her, you could have tripped her. You see her running out, just put your leg out.
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door?
She
Wonder
seems
what's
deeply
up with
troubled.
her.
She seems
She
to be.
was smiling.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Yes, Daddy.
Oh, you noticed. Seems Farina didn't even realize we were here.
No, she noticed.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot allow to continue. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to.
Yeah, I love how everyone's kind of picking up after a while. We have like the knave saying, who's the true Archon? He's like, I don't think Farina is the true Hydro Archon, and you would think Nouvellette was the Archon, but he doesn't. She says that they don't present themselves in a way that the other Archons do. I'm sorry, but like that logic. Look at Venti. Does he present himself like an Archon? No. So, but the fact that she kind of comes to this conclusion that Farina isn't the actual Archon, then it's got to be someone else. Very astute. And even Nouvellette kind of questioning, like, what is she hiding? You have her saying that she knows what she's doing, but does she actually know what she's doing?
We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
So we're going to put her on trial?
Oh? Like what?
Find her guilty. She'll be judged by the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
Okay, but you can't have a trial without accusations. What are the accusations here?
Like, Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We'll chain her down.
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass.
I mean, you really can't. He's Eudex, and he's like the judge, so he can't really just say, no, I'm going to sit this one out, guys.
This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this. But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Ghostbusters? Ghostbusters! On a boat somewhere in quiet Poisson. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away. God, I love external SSTs. They take so long to load things.
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
In plain sight.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That
Poisson!
naturally makes it the best choice.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
It is.
That's what families should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely time together.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No, I don't think I can.
Then
I'm just a
how about
shy
you, good sir?
boy.
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well, I mean, if no one else is gonna do it,
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last. I guess I'll be facilitating things from here.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
John.
Oh, you might be right. Anyway,
Couldn't
to cut
Claren
to the
just like
chase,
hold her
our
gun
friend
up
here,
to
the
Farina and be
traveler,
like, tell
has
me
brought
what
us
you
together to
know?
discuss something.
I mean, everyone else has powers and all that, and so does she, but I mean, Farina with a gun to her face probably would say anything, so can't they just have her just like, tell me what you know?
As for
And
what
if she
that
still
is,
insists on
well,
not saying anything,
let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create a series of traps.
there's a trap!
Oh, how intriguing.
How intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Chlorand and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail.
Round of applause, please. Yay.
Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy oratory tricks to impress your boss with in the future.
I see. And what does my boss say?
The boss says, according to the judgment of the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
Gojo on. I'll go on. Oof.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
What were you saying? Sorry, I was distracted.
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, oh, right. You were sick that day, weren't you?
She wasn't sick. She just didn't want to go hunting rabbits with a freaking stick.
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does that count?
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters.
Marechaussee
Though
hunters.
that was their name,
They hunted
they
Marechaussées.
did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. They even left a unique methodology of hunting in their wake. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. Sometimes a lethal implement will also be necessary to deal with the prey.
So we need to bait Farina with some cake. She steps on the trap, which triggers the cage. And then we put her on trial in that cage where she can't escape. There you go.
So, if we were to build a trap together, right now, what would you choose to build it with?
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait and naturally enter the snare. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our techniques.
You use some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you?
Poisson.
My subordinates mentioned that you even perform some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker if I do say so myself.
Sounds like he's having a bit of a...
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water and waiting for the fish to come within reach. That's the kind of method I would count on.
Remine is an old-fashioned kind of guy.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
Actually, I haven't caught any fish like that before.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract others of their kind. I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough, animals of the same kind will follow them all the way to the trap.
Okay, what does it have to do with Farina?
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
Can't say I've ever been fishing, and I've never had any clockwork squirrels around.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, monsieur.
Do I make you horny, baby?
If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more gentle trap would be ideal.
Gently ensnares you by the leg. Like a bear
Kind,
trap.
as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment device and the type of implement we need. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait, why is that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and death is often exceedingly thin.
So, are we going hunting together?
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but maybe it's still not the best metaphor.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate.
He's like, I'm down for this hunter bit.
But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going on. Sounds very interesting.
No, bitches. Metaphor was just that. A metaphor. I can't believe we just sat through like 5 minutes of dialogue just from like hunting. What would you do? Yeah, we're actually just talking about Farina here. It is simply the secret she's keeping, attempting, blah, blah, blah. As foretold in the prophecy. There is neither hunter nor prey. It must be a trap. That's what you will need. A trap of all traps. Oh boy, are we going to Poisson? Oh boy.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised.
I don't think he was frightened. That's just how he talks.
It's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? you doing that at all? Then what's that?
Like zoinks!
Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I merely refrained from saying anything till now.
Who's that voice? But there's...
What a strange conclusion, but also such an interesting one. You two make such a fascinating combo.
Hey, the coffee's talking to me again!
And yet even you feel confused. As such, I couldn't resist but come by for some tea and a chat. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be
Mage
fulfilled.
N.
You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
People call such things fate, and it is written in the stars.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It
I was
cannot
wondering.
so
Yeah, I forgot
easily be
Mona said that
altered.
she would get in contact with the old hag.
So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kind of scary.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
I suppose we'll have to thank Mona, because she got in touch with the old hag and
The
she talked to
voice.
us.
It's gone.
Just like my interest. Mage N. Is this the clue you're leaving us? Yes. Someone seems to. Is it Mona? Or is it Navia crying about something?
I want to hear someone talking.
Ooh, it's Navia. Oh.
All right, coming. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Yep.
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected. Not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Like, has anyone not considered just moving out of Fontaine?
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That daredevil journalist?
Of course we remember Charlotte.
I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Ah, yes, about what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. I'll try again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
No.
Huh?
Like, oh.
Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost.
Oh, yeah. That's not the... Yeah, it's one of the others.
But I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... Well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds like a
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Again, this is the same group that Alice, Klee's mother, is part of, which is insane. Again, Klee's mother alone, her Alice, is basically god level. I don't even think she's in this world right now. She like can travel between dimensions, it seems. So,
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
woman can do whatever she wants.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now.
True, her words were meant as a helpful hint, but when will we realize their value and meaning? The best answer that my question could have.
Traveler,
Yep.
Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, you know, just trying to save Fontaine from being flooded.
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna have Genshin Impact, the Wind Waker.
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for and believe in miracles. Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel, but it can also be beautiful. Perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone.
Damn.
I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Huh. You do have a point.
Damn. What?
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work-related stuff. I need to get going.
We can talk about heavenly principles.
It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. But also kind of sad, too.
I know. It would have been nice to make Mona moan.
Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels
Or
like
something,
going
I don't
outside
know.
for a walk. Let's go.
Let's go see if we
Let's
can
walk
run into
around the
anyone
city,
else.
Shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk.
Alright. Newsstand. Which one's closer? This one's up. This one's up there, right? Moan. Since we're gonna go to the newsstands, I have a feeling I know who's gonna pop up. I know who's gonna pop up. The only person who would be around newsstands right now.
Time to go.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Charlotte. Right?
Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. Let Paimon see. The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy, but that does not mean that others cannot interact with it. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blonde adventurer with their white fairy, legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades. Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker.
Well, I said Wind Waker. Close enough.
Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead? Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time.
Well.
We're here! Paimon's hungry. She and get something to eat?
No, let's just go in and stare at people. That'd be fun. That sounds actually kind of funny. You just get in there and you just sit down. You don't order anything, you just stare at everyone.
Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition only 16 slices a day cake!
It hasn't sold out for the day.
It was so
Isn't
delicious the
Farina
last
usually
time
the
we
one who
tried it,
gets that?
Despite the tense situation we were in.
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all.
Back off, bitch, it's mine.
Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
Well, of course we can eat. We do have mouths and stomachs.
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Sounds like you have an addiction, ma'am.
Every day?
Like people with Starbucks.
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
But why male models?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow. You know, like in the prophecy.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today. No, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on. That's what people call living, you know.
Well, I mean...
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
You're right there, Sam.
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us things about humans. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily, yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. So please try the cakes here.
She's not wrong.
I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
Oh, that's sweet.
And there she goes.
Like all the other girls in my life.
All right, let's dig in. I'm sure this cake will be delicious.
Yum, 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 yum. You share a glance with Paimon and snarf down the
More
cake.
delicious than last time. And the flavor gets...
Yeah.
Sure would be nice if it
See, this
could
is what I
always
mean.
be
It always
delicious
comes down
too.
to food somehow in this game. Oh, is there anything I can buy over here? I think I've bought. Dear customer. Oh, no, guess not. I'm always looking for more stuff. Always gotta get that jam, though. Get that sugar. There we go. Okay, we're good.
Time to go.
Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Okay.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon!
Ha! You've got some nerve. You just used us to make some quick mora.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Oh boy, more food. We're gonna talk about how delicious it is and the ingredients that make up the food that we're eating.
Really?
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
That you're annoying.
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary traveler and Paimon?
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
The things I've seen will make you cry in the night.
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Wait. I'm sorry, what? Okay, so we save Mondstadt from Dvalin. We go to Liyue, we save Liyue from Osile. We fight the Raiden Shogun herself. Liberate the people there from that whole Vision Hunt decree. We free Nahida from her imprisonment. And now we're doing this stuff here. Yeah, we're not qualified.
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would you do today?
I'd write a report about it.
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake my homeland that easily. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless.
But if no one's around to read it...
And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. I guess you could say that I was born to be a journalist. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
Okay.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we?
Why do we have to be such good people? Hey, Sam. What?
The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking,
You shouldn't do that too much.
if it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do? No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do?
Because Paimon's secretly a god and she doesn't have to worry about it. If I could choose. I'm only trying to consider what to do is pointless.
We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing?
Yes. Croissant. Oh boy, back in Croissant.
Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
Not just because of the salt water outside.
Ah, so the two of you are still here.
Oh boy.
Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the Fortress of Meropide. Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him. Yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
A riot?
Quiet riot?
That said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly started harassing her.
Heckling, really.
Loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis.
Is this part of the plan? The bait?
And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
I mean... it's kind of true.
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry.
This god has had it with all your BS.
The Maréchaussée Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
That slippery little snake.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Maréchaussée has dispatched many people to search for her, but we don't have any leads yet. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her? Good. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
Don't worry, this is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Yes, you're very
Is that
reliable.
so? Well, all right then. In that case...
Okay, bye. And...
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then.
Poisson! Yeah, exactly.
If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervillat was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the public today. Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's feeling. Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up, too. Cool, huh?
And she put on her little glasses. She's got like these little glasses that she uses when she's an investigator. She puts on the glasses, they've got that fake little mustache on it. It's really cute, actually.
And that case, there's not a moment to lose. Poisson, here we come.
It's our second home, away from home. Find Farina and Poisson. Farina, come out wherever you are.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of death at station.
That Farina right there, I'm going to land on top of her.
Let's try to find her as soon as possible.
Never mind. I hate you, game. I was just gonna... Poof.
That's Farina, right over there.
Stay quiet for now.
Really is here all...
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Ah, another one of my faithful servants has arrived, I see. Come to see how your Archon is doing? Well, I assure you, I am just fine.
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us.
Yeah, I see that.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
It's just crazy how fast she can just switch between this role, this thing that she's playing as Hydro Archon, and, you know, we see her sad and upset, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm a god, remember?
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
Those aren't tears. I'm the Hydro Archon. I just sweat hydro.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it.
Clever.
Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their Archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found.
And that they'll all be skinned alive in their beds tonight.
Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marche Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too. Of course not.
Stop trying to act tough. What?
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there!
Ah, let's beat her face in.
Quick, after her!
Oh, yes, do we get to beat up some civilians?
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they? That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Come on, lay down some law.
Farina just ran off.
Of course she did.
Quick, we have to catch up with her.
Of course we do. I would have been perfectly fine beating up civilians at this point. Rubble, rubble, rubble. Play some Scooby-Doo music.
This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina!
Get your ass back here, girl.
There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
What is this place?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
I heard if you sit on my wee-wee, no one will be able to find you. Well, isn't this nice and cozy? Smells like fish in here.
Everyone's exhausted.
I'm so tired. I totally thought they had caught me. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
You were right. Yep, that's a good girl.
Now, if you started this cutscene and had your eyes closed, this would have ended up and sounded completely different. That's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking. Is it an earthquake?
Sorry, no, that was me.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson,
Poisson.
didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neverlette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this time.
Yeah, I hope you're right. But the people of Poisson, they've already...
Has Farina finally reached her limit? Find out in the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z. Now that she's talking about her actual feelings, she's starting to look far less stiff. Unlike me, I'm stiff as a board right now.
It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time.
Have you tried going to this shoreline and telling it that it was adopted? I mean, that seems to work in a lot of cases. It'll become so emotional, it'll just go away.
We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson.
Poisson.
Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late.
Too late, baby, now it's too late. Though we really did try to make it.
Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end.
And even when everyone's been turned back into seawater, I'll still hold out hope for everyone.
Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
He was. We're running out of time. We just have back to square one like this. I just have to get more information out of her. Have you considered picking her up by the neck and shaking her back and forth until she tells you? Again, get Clorin to just like hold her gun up to her head and be like, tell us everything we need to know. You shouldn't have to shoulder this alone. Your people are more than willing to share this burden with you.
Share my burden.
Yes!
That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
Just share it with me. I'm what you'd call a witness.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here.
What's that supposed to mean?
And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
I'm putting you on trial. There's no time left. Please, Farina, just spit it out. Choose your words wisely. Oh, jeez. Just when we were about to get lucky. About information, I mean. Freaking... Here we are. That nice and cozy little thing was a trap. Ta-da! Okay, so...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance.
So the way we looked, it looked like we didn't know that it was a trap set up by them either. It was just like, oh, hey, they're coming this way. Here's the house. But then Traveler is kind of like, okay, well, this is awkward. I wasn't expecting to be in the trap with her.
Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
To trial before the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial?
Oh, Nouvelette's like, I'm not having any of your bullshit today, Farina.
In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god?
Yes.
I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Yay, killer!
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
Well, this place is based on France.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Uh,
Farina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve.
while you all dissolve.
I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice.
Justice.
This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Yeah!
Oh, now we're making history.
I can't wait for the execution.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing?
Yes, she did.
Come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent
Me.
in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That so. Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
I love that. Is that so? Well, well. We're so close to getting the truth, telling her to tell us the truth, and it still turned out like this in the end. It's okay, though. As long as we can defeat Farina in court, we'll still have a chance to figure everything out.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Yes.
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
Just call us Batman.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you.
Insurrection? Well, it was mostly peaceful, so...
The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
Like a bunch of creepers.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
Lenny, let's not make this about you.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas.
Poisson.
Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a...
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
No.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
You're welcome?
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson.
Poisson.
You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Oh?
Not arrived. Well, let's see. We hope to share your secret with us.
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very
Objection!
end.
The thing we do now is judge the Hydro Archon. Still, I can't help but be a little bothered by the conversation earlier. What did Farina want to say to me right before we arrived on the
So,
stage?
prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too!
Hi, Charlotte.
Oh, Leb Hymancy! Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument! Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher,
Sure.
alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time.
Alright,
This is
so
the first time, Monsieur, of the
let's
Fortress
see.
of Merit.
Okay, meaning Knave. The intrusion of the primordial sea into the fortress of Meripede.
According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both child
Whale
and
in
that
the
whale should
dream.
have been. I nearly lost my awesome. The words of someone as extraordinary
And-
as a witch can probably only be truly understood.
Okay. Let the trial commence.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Please, can we hear it?
Oh, come on, Nervylette.
Nervylette.
There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural
Oh.
for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon.
He's speaking.
Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Fauchelor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah. Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Fair-minded audience member. Good job. I mean, he could have been jumping on the bandwagon and just accusing her, but no, he's like, let's hear this out. Maybe, she's right.
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I mean, she could be like other Archons, you know, going out getting drunk all the time.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory.
And with that, people say that is true. You know, like my grandparents, when my grandparents were kids, this woman was around. So, I mean, people were like, well, I guess she's kind of right. You know, this chick's been around for like hundreds and hundreds of years.
See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld?
The Oratrice? Did I hear someone say the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale?
If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
We gotta think carefully. What do we know to be special about Farina? Where is it? We know. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Yeah, looks like the Oratrice is back.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
Wait, though that one trial proved the opposite. Farina actually has no control over the Oratrice at all. Yeah, Child was convicted even though he was innocent.
But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
Admit it!
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
Mecanique out of these Cardinale.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
Yeah, Nuvolad's like, yeah, that's no excuse. I'm more than powerful to protect everyone from the divine might of a god. So if that's what you're concerned about, all these people are under my protection. They'll be fine.
You don't need to go that far.
Are we gonna get to beat Farina up?
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Well, at least she's quick on her feet.
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, Farina, don't hurt your back with that.
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar. I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please? You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is?
That's what we're trying to ask you.
If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now?
If we can prove that she isn't the Archon, and we can prove that she is, that we can try to prove that she is just a human. And if she's only human,
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be
irrelevant. I love how it all says irrelevant.
That doesn't.
I was hoping they would each have something different, but Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
That doesn't.
Which one did I miss? Already eliminated. Is that gonna be another? No, it doesn't sound right.
It has been
Oh.
established that all Fontainians can dissolve in water from
Just
the primordial
throw some water on her.
And that means
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Wouldn't that be so bad? They throw some primordial seawater on her, and it's all like the Wicked Witch there. She's like, I'm melting!
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson.
Poisson.
As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends.
This is a trial for her, not for you to be up there like, oh, I'm sad again.
So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
You got down there fast.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
See, this is why people like Neuvillette and why he's such a good judge. It's like he's trying to get answers out of her, but it's like, well, because it doesn't fall in line with these kind of procedural guidelines, like you don't have to do it. And I mean, it's this point, it's like, well, yes, we'll be disappointed. Yeah, we're not going to be holding it against you because it is kind of, you know, what against what the court normally would do.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it.
She go bobbing for apples.
That could only mean...
Just stick her whole face in it. Just.
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's not what we thought she would...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
I'm melting! What a world! What a world!
Hey!
She actually pulls up her hand, it's missing.
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! I haven't been dissolved! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water! Really? Was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
Miss Siegewin? If you are present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin? Don't be nervous.
Aww.
It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see.
Nope, she's human.
That should be enough.
She's so cute. I love like the little swirly like ice cream type thing she's got her with her head, with her hair right there. Just like a fluffy, not like ice cream, but like a fluffy swirly bun or something.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegwien. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe...
I don't even know who I am anymore. But what's really going on here? Farina can't have known the consequences of touching that water as a human. This is too unlike how she usually acts. Unless it's actually more important for her to keep up her facade than to save her own life. But she hadn't given up on everything She hadn't given up on anything a long time ago.
Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks. What happened just now didn't prove a single thing. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the primordial seawater? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water?
Like disappointed parents.
Everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
Everyone has to kind of give her a cold shoulder to try to get the truth to come out. I love that look of Nouvelet. Just that's so cool. that they cut to him and he's just with his hand and he's just kind of looking down, you know, like a sad, disappointed parent, but Ash kind of going along with the plan. And
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
The judgment of...
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
The judgment of... Come on, Come on, Daddy, say it.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is...
This is like some anime stuff.
Guilty.
Wow.
We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
I can't hear it anymore without that stupid song. According to judgment of the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale. It's so cool though, looking, you know, how the Oratrice is with the lights. And...
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mecanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro Archon, guilty to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
That's pretty crazy. When you think about it, if everyone here is reacting like that, like Fontaine, I would imagine now that a lot of people get sent to the fortress of Meripede, but you know, if you have murderers and stuff like that, could you really trust them down there and murdering everyone else? So you would think, just like in real life, that they would have like an execution, but apparently not.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
That's crazy that in the long history of Fontaine, there's never been an execution, that they've all just been sent to the fortress.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice?
Mecanique done at least Cardinale.
We just wanted to...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
That's also another thing we'd never let. It's like he's himself is questioning it. I mean, he's the Eudex. He's the highest judge, so he knows the laws, and he's like, okay, I'm calling BS on this, because yes, she might have lied about being an Archon, but does this really constitute the death sentence here?
Yeah, even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Exactly.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Yes, Fremine, what do you want?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
With some help from the other fertility Fremine brings a stone... Oh.
Is
Oh, that's the original one.
first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late?
Not too late for you to
Thank you
shine.
for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
It is true. I mean, if anyone else would be able to confirm it as like the genuine article.
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember.
Good, because I don't really remember. I just remember the last one. Yeah, the last one that what they just showed with the weeping on her throne thing. The real events related to the prophecies of the prophecy slates.
The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans.
Yep.
Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people? That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if.
Okay, what am I supposed to be doing now?
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And this might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve.
I didn't realize. Okay, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, I forgot.
That doesn't sound...
Okay.
That doesn't sound quite... That doesn't...
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. And the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple as falling in. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing?
We're almost there, boys!
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
Alright, and there we go.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an Oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light.
Verification complete.
Gets it now, so that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real.
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice
Mecanique
judged the
then unleashed
Hydro
Cardinale.
Archon to be guilty. It's to account.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
Which, if you're going to consider something a sin, creating life is not a sin.
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth.
Well, we're just awesome.
However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source.
Ooh.
When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
That's how we like it around here, unadulterated.
Well?
Like, give me some frickin' time!
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids.
Which, in a way, it's sad about everyone else, but, you know, if they're just Oceanids, even like Malus and Silver and all them, they just kind of return to the waters, essentially, as like these in their Oceanid forms.
Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race.
They shouldn't have needed it, though. They were an Archon. What's the point of being an Archon if you don't really have people to, you know, Archon over?
And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice.
Justice.
You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
I have? The ultimate proof.
This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause.
Alright.
That doesn't sound quite...
It was both dream and reality.
Well, okay.
If we're talking about
Okay.
a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
Okay. Oh, that was easy. Uh-oh. Oh, booger balls. Free! Free for your lives! Get back. Be gone, thought. That's crazy that it's so powerful that it was able to break through Neverlet's defense there. Later, losers. Nom 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 nom. Nope, there he is. There's our boy, Mr. Worldwide. I love his... the whole outfit, which is so cool. He's using his delusion, though, which, not very good for him. Get back in there! You alright, child? Oh. He's like, right now I've got to do this, so.
That was way too close.
Wow, that is weird looking. Like, it just ripped through reality itself.
Was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
That's right.
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontainians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontainians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
Not while Child's there.
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner.
Yeah, Child's been fighting that thing for a while.
From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
Which is insane.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
Or tell it it's adopted.
It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe. That's just not fair.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
You have my sword, and you have my bow, and my axe.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
No matter what.
Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
After everything has still turned out like this, we couldn't fight against? Wait, but if this is all about fate...
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
Could it be that even if the prophecy will be fulfilled, there's still a way to be... There will still be a way to save everyone. Did I miss something? No. I forgot about Farina. What was she... that she wanted to say to me at the last moment in the giant magic box? What is her real secret? I've watched all this before, but boy, I'm going to see it in-game now this time.
What's happening with the Oratrice?
Mecanique done at least Cardinale.
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
Yep. All right.
For free?
She's so pretty, though. You.
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Well, I'm the hope of the universe. I'm the one who knocks. Batman. You know who I am. I'm Spider. I mean, there's so many answers that could be given right now.
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
Yes, the heavenly principles.
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril.
Yeah, that's why she kind of had to keep it under wraps, because if they found, I can only imagine what they would have done had they seen that, hey, we have one of our Archons and they're trying to deceive us. So it's really bad that he had to do it behind their backs, but...
So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time.
Also, I love how this happens with this game and even some games, but it looks like Focalor isn't even standing on the floor. Looks like she's kind of like hovering above it.
I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity, and the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable. as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, but in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way, the person I always wanted to be.
So I love how she says she was perfectly human, because you look at Farina's character and she's probably more human than all the other humans in the game. You know, everyone else is kind of like they're either happy or sad, but she experiences every emotion. You know, you see her going from extremely confident to very, very like unsure of herself, and she's happy one second and sad the other. She is perfectly human, and that's why people love this character, because we relate to this character. You know, you look at all the other NPCs and other playable characters and the other Archons, and you know, they're generally like one emotion kind of characters, but Farina is human. She's more human than everyone else, and that's because of the, you know, game design. They made her to be more human than any other human character in this game, which is insane. And it works because you care about her. I mean, not saying you don't care about the other characters, but you know, it's like with like Nahida. You know, you see her in this bad situation, and you're like, we must protect her at all costs. And you know, now it's Farina that we have to protect at all costs. And you know, her whole story. It's like, oh, I didn't like her at first, but then we get to this point, and we see Farina and what she's had to go through, and
Anyway, so then I cursed her.
so nonchalant about it.
All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles.
They need a dramatic close-up every time someone says the heavenly principles.
Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
So Epiclese, I think I remember it's like invocation of the gods, or calling down the gods or something like that. Or fall of gods, something like that. So, I mean, that's kind of what this is. It's calling down the gods, or in this case, well, but we do have a god here. And also, people were like, so Farina wasn't a Hydro Archon? No, she was human. She was just cursed. Focalor is the actual Archon. That's the divine part. And she separated herself, and then she was the one inhabiting the Oratrice, Mecanique, Cardinale. So, no, Farina was just a human. She wasn't divine in nature anymore. Even though they were once one and the same, once she separated that divinity from her, all Farina had was that human body and the, you know, human spirit, you know, soul, whatever you want to call it, like everyone else.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Freaking voice acting, man. I came into contact with Farina's tears. If I remember correctly, tears often contain a being's strongest emotion. With sufficiently strong hydrosensitivity, I could form an emotional connection, just like I did with the Oceanid in the Fountain of Lucine. And could this be Farina's inner world? Farina, what's she doing on stage? Wait a moment, that probably isn't Farina. That's likely a reflection of her inner self. If I can directly speak to that self, I might be able to easily get what I wanted to know. I came here for answers. Either way, this opportunity is not to be missed. Let me try talking to her. Alright, and this is where we're going to end it for now. Like I said, it was one thing when, you know, you're watching someone else play it, it's not as emotional, and then you're doing it yourself and get the waterworks. Obviously because of the glare and can't really see it, but that's just more proof of Hoyo's ability, you know, Hoyo versus ability to write.
And I know.
Oh, shut up. Ability to write a good story. You know, for them it's hit and miss. But with these Archons, with these big stories, they really know what they're doing. And I haven't seen a person yet doing this quest who hasn't, you know, teared up or gotten extremely sad or, you know, whatever. It's just great writing. You know, we care so much about this character. And, you know, the reasons with Focalor and what she was doing and why she was doing it. You know, the ending. But yeah, but I'm going to continue, and the next part, it'll be part 3, and it'll be the final part, because I know there's not much after this. Obviously, I know, because, again, I've seen it, but it's different playing it yourself.
The world remains constant over the centuries.
Okay, shut up. So we'll have a part 3, and that'll be it for the Archon quest, and then we'll do Farina's story quest. But, yeah, so that's going to do it for me, because it's been 2 hours. Probably one of the longest I've ever recorded. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. You guys know this drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.